Nate's Flicks.
What's up, everyone? This is Nate, and this is episode 3 of the Nate Flicks movie collection, going through all my Blu-Rays that I have. I've already covered my box sets. I have covered my Criterion collections, and now I'm going to be going through some of the fun stuff. So, not that those aren't fun, but these are my Arrow Video and Scream Factory. Well, I should have led with Scream Factory because I have a lot more of those, but all my Blu-Rays from those two distributors. Scream Factory, if you're not familiar with it, is a division of Shout Factory. So Shout Factory is a distributor of Blu-Rays. They have a couple of different lines. They have the regular Shout Factory releases. Then they have Shout Select, which I do have some, and you'll be seeing those in a future video. And then they have Scream Factory, which is their horror. There's some action, but it's usually action that's directed by like horror guys, or they have some kind of sci-fi edge or something, but horror and sci-fi, basically their genre branch of Shout Factory. So I have way more, I have almost no just straight Shout Factory releases. I have a lot of Scream Factory releases because I love horror movies. So we're going to get into these. And Arrow Video, by the way, same thing, a boutique distributor. They get a lot of B movies, a lot of smaller horror movies that you might not have heard of, or none of these are like the blockbuster horror movies. A lot of them are known, and they're from big directors, but they're not like the A-list studio, horror films. So even though that's kind of a new thing anyway, they're mostly B movies anyway. So let's get into it. So first is my one and only double feature. I have Jeepers Creepers 1 and 2. I really like Jeepers Creepers. Me and my sister and my cousin rented it when we were kids. My grandma let us rent it. We watched it. We laughed because the license plate says "Be Eating You," and we kept saying "Beating Goo," and it was like an inside joke between us. And then it got scary. Well, at the time it was scary. And so I love it. I'm not as crazy about Jeepers Creepers 2, but I got this for $6. And if you get 2 movies for $6, you take it. So, plus I think they're out of print, the actual standalone releases. So I just grabbed that one. Next, Cherry Falls. This is Brittany Murphy, Michael Biehn, and Jay Moore is in this. This is an interesting movie. It's a slasher. It's a slasher movie, but it's like reverse. So, in the slasher movies, typically the virgin character is the one who lives, the promiscuous kids are the one who dies. This is the opposite. This is one where the killer's targeting virgins. So if you don't want to die, you have some sex. So it's an interesting twist. It's kind of like, it's comedic as well. It's not like just a straight, horror film, but it's really good. Brittany Murphy, again, she's in it. Michael Biehn is always awesome. So I like that movie. Kind of underrated. I don't know a lot of people have seen it. This one I've never watched, but I got a bunch of these on sale as well. I got one called Cat People. I don't know much about it. I know it's a remake of an old 30s film called Cat People. And that actually has a Criterion release. So when I said, okay, one of these is high art and one of them's a Scream Factory, I feel like I have to get both, but I only got this one so far. So I have this set up to watch during my 31 Days of Horror this year. So I'll be reviewing that later in the year. Next, classic. John Carpenter, Escape from New York. Kurt Russell. This is one of the ones where I was talking about that it's not a horror film. It's a sci-fi film, but it's John Carpenter. So it fits in the Scream Factory label. This movie's awesome. Kurt Russell's awesome in it. See it if you haven't. Oh, one more cool thing. And I'm not going to do this with all of them, but Scream Factory does a cool thing with their packaging where, not always, but anything that's collector's edition actually has reversible artwork. So this is the old poster. A lot of them I have flipped to the original poster art because I think it looks cool, but they also do their own artwork on the movie. So if you want to have their artwork, you just flip it like that and you'll get an original Scream Factory. They hire artists to do the artwork for them. So they're pretty cool. But for the non-slipcover ones, I usually just go with the old poster because I think it looks cool. Plus Kurt Russell looks insane. It doesn't even look like Kurt Russell. So it's hilarious. So I have to leave it like that. Another John Carpenter movie, They Live, starring Roddy Piper. This is another awesome movie. He has a 10-minute fight with Keith David. You cannot, for that alone, it's worth watching. And Keith David is in it and he's awesome. So, This is a weird movie, but it has some really cool elements. It's aliens, and it's Roddy Piper. You choose bubblegum. There's the greatest bubblegum line ever. I won't repeat it, but do yourself a favor and watch this. If you haven't seen They Live, it's great. Okay. Now, this is a movie that I personally really like because is another one. My grandma took me to see this in the theater when I was 12. This is 1999, I believe. 99. I was 12 years old. And I was like, this ain't gonna be scary. And it's Lake Placid, Bill Pullman, Bridget Fonda, Oliver Platt. And it's not scary by today's standards by any means, but there's some kind of gnarly gore in it. It's a crocodile movie, or is it alligator or crocodile? It's one of them. And basically, there's some really gory kills that scared me when I was 12 when I saw it in the theater. So I ended up being scared of this movie, but it's not particular. It's really funny watching as an adult. It's like a comedy monster movie. It's great. I don't know. I love Lake Placid. I love a lot of these Scream Factory movies, just because some of them are so cheesy, but they're just so good. Wes Craven's People Under the Stairs. Not one a lot of people. I have a few friends who really like this movie, like that I know personally, but not one that usually gets mentioned with Wes Craven. You normally think Nightmare on Elm Street or Scream. Those are like the most common Wes Craven films. This one's actually really good. This was 1991. These people, they have people under the stairs. They have these like mutant looking kind of people. And it's another one that's like, has some funny elements. It's not super dark and serious, but it's a lot of fun. Pumpkinhead, never seen it. The cool thing about this one though is it was directed by Stan Winston, who you may know as a makeup effects guy. He did all the animatronics for Jurassic Park. I think he did Predator. He's known for his makeup effects, and this has a creature in it called Pumpkinhead, who's like a big demon-looking thing. So Stan Winston, he did his own effects for his own movie, and he directed I don't know if he directed a lot of films, but Lance Henriksen is in it. I'm looking forward. This is another one I'm doing for 31 Days of Horror. The Howling, I did this a few years ago for 31 Days of Horror. It's good. Dee Wallace from E.T., directed by Joe Dante of Gremlins fame. It's a werewolf movie. It's pretty fun. Like, it's not the best, but it's pretty good. Dog Soldiers. This is a Neil Marshall film. So Neil Marshall, he recently directed the Hellboy remake. He also did The Descent, which is probably his best movie, and he directed a bunch of episodes of Game of Thrones. This was like his first kind of big movie, and by big, I just mean like a full-length feature film, because this is like super low budget. The film is like, I want to say 16 millimeter they might have shot it on, because it doesn't look incredible, but it's a lot of fun. It's like a werewolf action movie. So Dog Soldiers, like literally the military are fighting off werewolves in a cabin. Really cool movie. Okay, Sylvester Stallone, Cobra. Now, you're saying, what? This is not a horror movie? It's not, but it does deal with a serial killer, and it has horror tinges to it. So, it's actually really underrated. Stallone is, look at this. I mean, just look at him. If you walk past this, if you're like an action movie or a Stallone fan and you see that and you're like, you don't pick it up, I don't know. Also, it was like $10 at Walmart, so you can't even beat it for the price. You may as well get it. Okay, now this is a cool movie, super underrated. Bad Moon. I honestly don't know in person anyone who's seen it. I've never talked about this movie with anyone in person. I don't know anyone, but it's awesome. It has the kid from Dennis the Menace, the 90s version of Dennis the Menace, the live action. It's a werewolf movie. A lot of werewolf movies I have is what I'm noticing here, but this is a really cool and underrated werewolf flick. H.P. Lovecraft's From Beyond. I've never seen this movie, but again, I got it on sale. Now, this is directed by Stuart Gordon, who I've only seen Reanimator, and I'll be honest, I'm not crazy about Reanimator. I know it has a pretty big cult following. I'm hoping this is better. It looks gross, so it kind of reminds me of that movie Slither from James Gunn a few years ago. Like, the back looks gross. 31 Days of Horror, I'll be watching that one. Oh, this is a great movie. Death Becomes Her, Robert Zemeckis, starring Meryl Streep, Goldie Hawn, Bruce Willis. This is like a comedy, but it has horror elements because it has to do with dead people. And what a cast. I mean, Meryl Streep in a Scream Factory release, you would have never thunk it, but here we are. And it exists. And this movie is awesome. It's hilarious. I remember watching it when I was a kid. I probably shouldn't have watched it when I was a kid, but I remember watching it when I was a kid and I loved it. So I thought it was funny even then. This one's getting a remake coming out soon. Candyman, 90s horror movie. Tony Todd. It's a slasher. Essentially, it's a slasher plus though, because there's some, other elements to it. It's not a straight slasher, but Candyman was a really cool character. So I have that one. A classic, Carrie, Brian De Palma. 1970s movie. I think it was 73, I want to say. I can't find it, but I think that's when it... 1976. Sissy Spacek. Just John Travolta. He was a real jerk in this. Yeah, I love this movie. It's great. Black Christmas. Now, this is the original Black Christmas, not the 2000-something remake. Haven't watched it yet, but I know everyone I've heard it's very good from everywhere I've read, so... Pick this one up. Looking forward to it. I'm going to watch that one on 31 Days of Horror as well. Prince of Darkness, John Carpenter. Never seen it, but I love John Carpenter. And Donald Pleasance is in it. And he was from Halloween. He played Dr. Loomis. So I'm guessing it is evil. And it has awakened. So I'm looking forward to checking this out for 31 Days of Horror. Ginger Snaps. This is another werewolf movie, but it has to do with girls instead of... I feel like all the werewolf movies is always men turning into werewolves and stuff. So this has to do with some teenage girls. I know there's some metaphors between maturing and getting older as a girl and a werewolf. And I don't know. But it's a good movie. Okay. This one's one I'm looking forward to. This is called The Burning. This, actually was, Tom Savini did the makeup effects for this. He's like a huge makeup artist in the horror realm. He did the makeup effects for Friday the 13th. He did this one as well. And this is actually supposed to be a really cool slasher movie. I'm imagining it's super low budget, but I've heard good things about it. So pick that one up. The Crush. Now, this is cool. This has Alicia Silverstone before Clueless and Carrie Elwes, the Princess Bride. And he's doing his American accent. It's spotty. But it's an interesting movie. He plays like a writer who moves into a guest house of this family, and their teenage daughter develops an unhealthy crush on him, and she's crazy. So it's like a crazy stalker movie that was very popular in the 90s, but with a teenage girl and a grown man. It's silly, but it's also really good. And also the Kurtwood Smith from That 70s Show, Red, he's the dad in this, and I always love seeing him. So that's really good. Okay, and then... to kick off the slipcover section of this, I just got this. This is Creepshow. Now, this is George A. Romero directed, Stephen King, based on Stephen King stories. Really cool packaging on this one. I'll slide it out. This is the actual Blu-ray case. So, it has the reversible artwork too, but I went with this one. It looks like a comic book. So that's pretty neat. And it comes with a book as well about the movie. So, I haven't seen this in a really long time. I honestly don't remember a lot about it, but I know I've seen it. So I might throw this on for 31 Days of Horror as well. All right. Now, the rest of these I have actually the slip covers for. So I know with the Scream Factories, that's kind of a popular thing, is getting them with the slip covers. Some I do, some I don't. I showed you all the ones I don't have. I couldn't get them with them, so it's fine. I have these. This is actually a new... So this is a recently released. I just got this last week, as a matter of fact. Never seen it. Kiss of the Vampire. Now, this is a horror, Hammer Films horror movie. So Hammer is think how Universal was like the classic monsters here in the US. Hammer was that in the UK. They kind of did a lot of Dracula movies, Frankenstein, werewolves, things like that. Kind of what is considered B movies, but they're British. So, this is a Hammer film. And the cool thing with the slipcovers, like I showed you with the other ones, is they come with the reversible poster. So with these, I like to always have the original artwork on the box, and then with the slipcover, it has the new artwork. So I think it looks cool when you slide it out and it looks different. So Kiss of the Vampire, never seen it. 31 Days of Horror, I'm gonna do it. The next three of these are all Hammer films. Frankenstein created women. Now, woman. Frankenstein created woman. I'm guessing this is a female Frankenstein. Peter Cushing is in this, though. That's him. Peter Cushing. You might know him from Star Wars. He was in Star Wars. He did a bunch of horror films with Hammer. He always played Van Helsing in the Christopher Lee Dracula movies. So, yeah, here he plays Dr. Frankenstein, and he makes a woman, I'm guessing. I'm looking forward to it. I have no idea what this is, but I'm going to watch that. Okay, here's another one. The Evil of Frankenstein. Peter Cushing again. He's playing Dr. Frankenstein. And this is just like Hammer's version of Frankenstein. So, Yeah, this is from 1964. So these are all old movies from the 60s, typically. So looking forward to that. And then my last Hammer film that I have from them is Dracula, Prince of Darkness. This is the Hammer version of Dracula starring Christopher Lee. So Peter Cushing's in this as well. He plays Van Helsing. So this is just their version of Dracula, essentially. I have a few of the Christopher Lee Dracula movies you'll see in the future videos, but this is like the OG one. 85 minutes, 1966. That's what I like. Looking forward to checking that one out as well. I do like the classic horror. I mean, it's not super scary, but I always like the atmosphere and stuff. All right, now we're getting to some modern movies. Eli Roth, Green Inferno. This movie's just okay. I think it's an okay movie, but I saw this case and I was like, I must have it. This lady is holding an eyeball. I said, that's cool. I liked the movie enough to buy it, and I got it for a pretty good price, so that's the Green Inferno. I'm not crazy about Eli Roth, but that movie's pretty good. April Fool's Day. This is a 1980s like slasher film. Never seen it, but it's on my list for 31 Days of Horror this year. There's the original poster. It's great. Her ponytail's a noose. I've heard it's pretty fun, pretty cheap, like cheesy, but looking forward to that one. I always love a good like holiday themed horror movie because it rarely makes sense how they tie it into it, but it's always a lot of fun. This is a classic, Misery, Rob Reiner film, James Caan, Kathy Bates, and she's crazy in this. Kathy Bates is absolutely psychotic, and she's amazing in it as well. Stephen King story, so based on a novel. Great movie. A 90s classic, The Craft. This is with Fairuza Balk and Robin Tunney, and we talked about this on the podcast one time and couldn't remember Robin Tunney's name, so shame on us, but she's in this. Nev Campbell, cool case. I love the case on it, and then under has the original. This is the artwork a lot of people remember from it, so yeah, this is a good witch movie. It's like a teenage witch movie. It was really good. Starman, this is another John Carpenter movie, so it's a sci-fi film starring Jeff Bridges and what's her face? Karen Allen from Indiana Jones. Yeah, I've never seen it, but I love John Carpenter, and this was also on sale at Walmart for like $10, so I said, why not? Let me grab it. Another one I got at Walmart for super cheap, Firestarter, another Stephen King adaptation, starring a very young, this is the back of her head, Drew Barrymore. Yeah, 1984, girl can start fires with her brain. I'm sure it's bad, but I'm looking forward to watching it as well. And here we go with the holiday, another holiday one. Valentine. I don't know if you've seen this one. This is a like early 2000s slasher film. It stars a who's who of early 2000s people, like Marley Shelton or Wendy Peppercorn from Sandlot, if you know her better as that. And also Denise Richards is in this. David Boreanaz from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Katherine Heigl. It's fun. It's a slasher movie. He has a baby's mask, so you gotta love it. He looks like a giant baby. Idle Hands. This is a movie I reviewed not too long ago on the podcast. No, I didn't do it on podcast. I did it on Instagram. Jessica Alba. That's the only reason I know it. But Devin Sawa was in it. Seth Green. Yeah, I love the cover. There's the original poster on it. Vivica A. Fox was in this. This movie's actually really good. I think it's good. It's funny. It's gory. It's not very scary, but it's a lot of fun. Then John Carpenter's Vampires. I have a lot of John Carpenter. Scream Factory, I think, unintentionally has some kind of deal with John Carpenter because they put out almost all his old movies. So this is not one of his more well-known ones, but it's from 1998. It has James Woods and it has vampires. It's pretty good. It's not the best, but it's pretty good. Another Stephen King movie, Silver Bullet. So this is another werewolf movie because it's like I don't have enough of those, but yeah, it's not great either. Some of these, like I said, they're not great, but it's a lot of fun, and it's fun to watch, and the Scream Factory release is pretty good. Now, this was a movie that Shannon once reviewed in the Shannibal Lecter's Horror Corner, Child's Play. This is the original, of course, Chucky movie. I love the art on it. Yeah, it's not too scary now, considering this was my most feared thing when I was a kid. I could not look at Chucky. I remember I went to the movie theater when I was a kid with my grandma, and there was a huge like banner type poster. I stared at it all the way up the escalator, and it haunted my dreams, and I was terrified from that point. My dad used to take us to Blockbuster, and like he would hide and show me the case like this. So I stopped going to Blockbuster with him because that's my dad for you. It explains a lot. All right, next up, Dracula. Now, I love this hair. This is Frank Langella. He has incredible hair. I've never seen this version of Dracula, but this is from 1979. It's just called Dracula, and Laurence Olivier is in it. So I said, that's good actors. It's a good story. I love, as many versions of Dracula as I can see. I like to see the differences and stuff, so I'm looking forward to watching that one. Urban Legend. This is another like late 90s. Was this like late 90s? Yeah, I think this was. Slasher movie. Joshua Jackson is in this from Dawson's Creek. Young Jared Leto is in this. This is a fun movie actually. It's all the kills are based off of like different urban legends. So yeah, it was pretty good. Silent Hill. Now I recently rewatched this and I don't love it. I think it's got a lot of good ideas and visually it's really nice, but excuse me, the movie itself is just okay. This case is really awesome though, so I picked it up. Yeah, I saw it at the theater and I just thought it was all right. Now this movie I like a lot though, Dawn of the Dead. This is their remake. This is the Zack Snyder version of Dawn of the Dead. It's good. I don't know. I remember they showed the opening to this on USA Network. I don't know why. Fun fact, that's really weird, but I remember one night I was watching TV and they said, here's a special sneak peek of the opening scene. And once I saw it, I was like, I gotta see that movie. And I did, and then it was really good. So the zombies run, Mekhi Phifer's in it. Yeah, it's good. It's a good movie. Okay, last two Scream Factories I have. These are recent. Drag Me to Hell, Sam Raimi. This movie is great. I think it kind of helped him bounce back after that. I think this was, I don't know if this was after or before that Oz movie, but it's way better than that movie, I'll tell you that. It is probably his last like really, really good movie that he made, because since then I don't think he's done anything good, but Drag Me to Hell, awesome. And the last of my Scream Factory movies, The Strangers, one of the best modern horror movies, I think, that came out in the last like 20 years. It's very low key, very subtle. There's not like, it's literally people standing in the background with creepy masks, very kind of slow pace, but super good, really creepy, really scary. Liv Tyler's in it, Scott Speedman's in it, and 3 people with masks are in it. That's it. There's only like 5 people. I think one guy shows up, 6 people in the whole movie. So yeah, this is a great movie as well. All right, now to get on to the Arrow videos. I just lumped these together because even though they're 2 different releasing studios, they're in the same ballpark. So first up, I got Ringu. Now this is the Japanese version of The Ring. So if you've seen The Ring with Naomi Watts, this is the original version of it. Haven't seen it yet, but I enjoy The Ring. I think it's a good movie. And this cool Arrow video does the same thing as Scream Factory with the reversible artwork. So if you like the original posters, you can switch them around. That's why I lumped these together. I mean, they're not the same, but they do the same stuff. So yeah, Ringu, looking forward to checking that one out. Another Japanese original, Dark Water. So this was remade in 2003, 2004 with Jennifer Connelly in America. It's not very good, but I've heard this version is much better, so I picked it up. Yeah, an Arrow video similar to Criterion, they're usually kind of expensive. They're usually like $28, $29 like all the time. Some of them are up to like $40. So I actually got a lot of these on some sales I found online for 50% off. Or Amazon was doing a buy 2 get 1 free, so I picked up a few, and then it worked out to be like less than $20 or $20 each. So yeah, Dark Water. Looking forward to checking that one out. Creepshow 2. So I have the Scream Factory version of Creepshow. I have the Arrow video of Creepshow 2. Not as good as Creepshow. I know that, but still, I like the case, and it's better. And Creepshow 3 is the only one I don't ever want to have. Creepshow 2, at least it's worth watching as a cheesy movie. But next, a couple of like lesser known George A. Romero movies, The Crazies. This is another one that was remade not too long ago, like in the later 2000s with Timothy Olyphant. This is the original version of it, so I've never seen it, but I've seen the remake and I own it, and I'm looking forward to checking this one out. And then a movie called Season of the Witch. So this is another George A. Romero movie. Most people think he only did zombie movies, like Something of the Dead, so Night of the Living Dead, Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead. He directed all those. And of course, Creepshow. But he also did a couple other movies, so Crazies and Season of the Witch. I'm looking forward to checking these out. seeing what it's all about. I think he also directed Monkey Shines, the one about the little evil monkey. So that movie I didn't like, but I'm looking forward to checking these out. All right, now, Italian director Lucio Fulci. Now, I've never seen any of his stuff, but I've read about him. Apparently, he's one of the better, like, Italian horror directors. So I got this movie called The Black Cat. I figured it was a good place to start because this is, like, one of his early movies. And it's an adaptation of an Edgar Allan Poe story. So I said, why not? Why not start there? And if I like it, then I'll go from there. And if I don't like it, I'm done with him. And that'll be that. All right, now this was a movie that I've never heard of this. It's called Stormy Monday, but I like the cast as Melanie Griffith, Tommy Lee Jones, Sean Bean, and Sting, the singer. So I said, with a cast like that, I must check this out. Plus, it's an Arrow video, so the transfer is going to be good and everything. I'm looking forward to checking that one out. It's not a horror movie, but they also do non-horror. They do mostly horror, but they do some sci-fi. They actually, I have a couple that I'm going to get to that. I have an action movie. I have a couple 80s, like, teen movies. So they do a little bit of everything, but mostly horror. Okay, Black Rainbow. I just reviewed this on my Instagram page not that long ago. It's okay. Stars Rosanna Arquette. I thought it was going to be more horror because there's, like, ghost hands on it. I was like, oh, it's like a ghost movie. It's not. So this is a little misleading, this, like, artwork. She plays a medium. And you're like, you don't know if she's being real or if she's not being real, if she's a fraud or anything. It's more like that kind of movie, but it was pretty good. All right, now these over here, a little more well-known movies in my opinion. Stephen King's Children of the Corn. Not the best movie, but it's a good, I mean, a pretty good adaptation. I like the movie. It's good enough. I think it's nostalgia. You know, I saw this when I was younger, so I still like it, but I have that one. I have Hellraiser. This is a horror classic. Clive Barker, Pinhead, gory. I mean, this is a gory movie. It's pretty gross. Even like by modern times, it's still pretty gross. And this was in the 80s. So, yeah. This is the Cenobites. Shannon, our very own Shannon, reviewed this in a hilarious review in her Horror Corner on the podcast. So go back to the early podcasts and check out her review of Hellraiser. It's hilarious. American Werewolf in London is a John Landis movie. It's kind of like a horror comedy as well, but it's a cool movie. It's fun, and of course it's werewolves. I'm pretty sure I'm just now discovering, going through these movies with you guys, that I have a lot of werewolf movies, and I didn't even know it. And I don't even like werewolves. I don't even tell people that I like werewolves, but apparently I do. All right, and then a Guillermo del Toro film, Crimson Peak. This stars Tom Hiddleston and Jessica Chastain, Charlie Hunnam, Mia Wasikowska. I don't know how to pronounce her name. She was Alice from Alice in Wonderland. I like this movie. It's got some cool creature design. It's not his best movie, but I don't think it's bad by any means. I quite enjoy it. And my last three here, these all have the slip covers, which the Arrow, like Scream Factory, does really cool slip covers. An action movie, Ronin, starring Robert De Niro, Jean Reno, or Leon, the Professional, if you know him as that. And they do the same thing with the reversible cover, so that's pretty cool. This is a solid movie. It's not the best. It's an action movie, but there's not like tons of action. But when it's there, it's good. It has a really great chase scene in it, so I like that one. And then a couple of John Hughes movies, Weird Science. There's a 1980s film. Young Robert Downey Jr. is in this. Young Bill Paxton is in this. Kelly LeBrock. I wasn't around when this movie came out, but I would imagine she was the dream girl for many of an 80s child. Kelly LeBrock. Anthony Michael Hall's in this too. So John Hughes, it's good. It's funny. And last, 16 Candles, another John Hughes movie. Molly Ringwald. I've actually never seen this, but I am very much looking forward to checking it out soon. They have a 4K scan on this, so I'm sure the picture quality is great. There's the original. Anthony Michael Hall. Anthony Michael Hall is, for John Hughes, what like Michael Caine is for Christopher Nolan, it seems. He's in all of his movies, pretty much. I'm going to be checking that one out soon. So that's my Arrow collection. So Arrow Video, a little more diverse than Scream Factory, but again, they're just a subsidiary of Shout, so there's other stuff. Anyway, that is those collections. So next video, we will just start going through my Blu-rays. The rest of these are, I have little miniature collections, but not enough to dedicate a whole video to. So we're going to go through some Blu-rays, regular Blu-rays, So yeah, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Drop us a like at the bottom if you like what you're seeing, and we will see you next time.
The Nate in Nateflix. Nate.